For over 1,000 years, Western civilization has been stuck in a dark age of sexual repression and misinformation. We get an oversexed overload from the media, but nothing in the way of honest, helpful, practical information on sex and how to do it right. That sucks, and I'm fucking sick of it. My name's JV Altheras, and I've spent a couple decades learning everything I can about how to have amazing sex and more of it. Not in a classroom like a lot of people who talk about sex. I learned it all in the gutter, right where Mom told me I'd end up. It's my mission to bring an end to the sexual dark age with brutally honest talk and education on all aspects of sex and sexuality, in an atmosphere that will keep you entertained without treating you like an idiot. Shara and I are not doctors. Certifiable, perhaps, but not certified in any way. And that means we don't have to talk about vaginas and penises to maintain academic credibility. You got a problem with a vagina? Call a gynecologist. You want to learn more about pussies and cocks and how to make them happy? You've come to the right place. Ending the Sexual Dark Age is now sponsored by the internet's most trusted name in adult toys. A happy pussy likes to play more often. AdamandEve.com is offering you guys half off on your choice of thousands upon thousands of vibrators and dildos and cock rings and strap-ons, nipple clamps, porn DVDs, butt plugs, pocket pussies, anything else you can imagine to either get yourself off or have some fun with your playmate. As always, we highly recommend making sex toys part of your sex life, and right now, AdamandEve.com is only asking for one chance to impress you. They're offering an awesome deal in support of ending the sexual dark age, and the whole thing goes a little like this. By typing Dark Age, all one word, for the offer code at checkout, you will get 50% off the most expensive item in your cart, with a few exceptions, free shipping, 3 free porn DVDs, and a sexy free mystery gift. Free DVDs are selected randomly and added to your order before they ship. AdamandEve.com is willing to damn near pay you to get off. So stop by, enter DARKAGE at checkout, and proceed to collect on an awesome deal. Or just follow one of the links on sexualdarkage.com. And if you like surfing on your smartphone, be sure to check out Adam and Eve's new mobile site. Yes, you too can buy dildos right from your iPhone now, thanks to Adam and Eve. Welcome to episode 59. You know, about 10 seconds ago, Shara and I just said to each other, you know, we really got to be on the ball this time because we were really loopy idiots the last time. And as soon as I start talking, she just starts looking at me and giggling.
I can't help myself. I think it's that we're getting ready to go to Vegas, and I'm just feeling like, let's hurry up and let Thursday be here.
Yes, there is quite a lot to do this week, but it will end up going by very, very fast.
I know. So
we're going to jump right into it tonight. Our first item was a question sent to us by Facebook by a male listener. He says, over the summer, I started dating one of my best friends, and I'm very comfortable with the relationship, and I've been working hard to quiet many of my partner's fears, although most of them aren't related to me and are more about her being comfortable with her own body. We haven't actually had intercourse, and a lot of this comes from fears that her parents have indoctrinated her with because of their own fears. Her mother recently told her that she was an accident in an attempt to scare her into listening to them, which really upset her. Because her family is still paying for her school and rent, and because we are both incapable of being completely independent, they're forcing their own decisions on her, even though I know she would like to do other things. Her father physically came and visited us over the weekend because we slept in the same bed. She is a virgin, and I've explained that I want her to move forward at whatever pace she feels comfortable with, because I'm not going anywhere, but that she needs to make her own decisions about her sexual choices rather than letting her parents make her decisions for her. I'm not entirely sure how to break this mindset since her family has been her entire life for 20 years of her life. Homeschooled, didn't really have friends until college, etc. And she clearly wants to be independent and isn't happy with a lot of the decisions they continue to force on her, both relationship-wise and with other things. For example, she's an anthropology major and they want her to be an anthropologist and have gone to great lengths to find a way to get her a job after graduation near the location where they want her to be. She has other plans. I really have no clue on where to begin with this, but there's a constant tension between them that isn't healthy for anyone, and I'd just like her to be comfortable with making decisions for herself without questioning whether her parents will approve.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a sticky one.
Well, it is. It is, but I want to give him a lot of credit for letting her know that he's not going anywhere, and for being patient and for not meddling, because one of the hardest things, I think, to do when you really care about somebody is to not meddle. And the fact that she's still a virgin and he's willing to go along with that as long as she's comfortable to move at her own pace, hopefully she sees that as a comfort zone for herself. And if she wants to have sex, then by all means, I think that when she's ready, it would probably be him. But there's lots of things like her mother telling her that she was an accident. If you're using protection and birth control, high percentage rate, highly unlikely that she's going to get pregnant. I'm not saying it's not possible, but highly unlikely. Those odds are in her favor. As far as the parents meddling and if she's unhappy, the only thing I can say is many, many years I spent doing whatever other people told me to do and to follow what was the right thing to do, and raised a Catholic, and, all those terrible Catholic, you're going to go to hell. Really,
the
you
whole
have
guilt-driven
the
mentality.
whole,
you mean?
right,
Yes.
the whole guilt thing. I'm so much happier now in my life, and a lot of it has to do with you. Obviously, we've talked about this a lot. You let me think about things. You'll bring things to my attention, and it sounds like he may be doing the same thing with her. But if she wants to be an anthropologist, but she wants to be somewhere else, then I hope she does that, because her parents should accept her for who she is and the person that she is. And obviously, did he say how old she is? No, I don't think so.
Well, he said for 20 years of her life. So we're getting, I mean, she's in college, so she's probably, she's probably 20 years older or thereabouts.
It's rare to have somebody that's 18, 19 that's still a virgin. So that should say a lot to her parents about the kind of girl that she is, and how she's respected what they wanted for her. So
well, and that's one of the key challenges. There is a psychological difference between her still being a virgin because she chose to, and her still being a virgin because her parents decided she wasn't going to have sex and forced their decision on her.
Right.
It sounds like in this case, it is at least partially the latter. It sounds like she isn't even in a place where she feels like she has the power to make her own decisions.
And that's where I'm going to say I think a therapist can be great for somebody to get another opinion, to talk it over with somebody that is not in a personal relationship with you, to say, hey, I need to let this out and say how I'm feeling, and see where that guides you. And I'm big on the therapist has to be the right therapist for you. Not all of them are the right therapists, but I definitely would consider that. I'm assuming that she probably is under her parents' insurance, so that might mean that they would know about it. So that might be
yeah, but that's there are ways to work that out. She could say she's struggling with her desires to do stuff that they don't want her to do, and they may very well, volunteer to pay for it. Or, insurance being what it is, or she may or may not even have insurance if they're in college. Almost all colleges have some kind of, of psychology available, or some kind of student support for psychotherapy, even if it's just short sessions or something. So I think we would be doing this question a disservice if we didn't say that this is something that's extremely complicated, and this is the kind of shit that takes people years of therapy to get through.
Right.
So there's not anything that we're going to say that's going to fix it. And it doesn't sound like that's what he's looking for. I mean, he's just looking for some guidance. But
he might want to talk to her about, hey, why don't you see about getting some outside help here and talking to a therapist? It would probably do a lot of good, to have somebody to converse with, and, because if he's constantly trying to console her and advise her, which I'm not saying he's doing that, but if he is, it could at some point push him against the parents.
Well, yeah, there's a fine line between being supportive and, ending up looking like you're pushing your own agenda,
right.
know? So it's always a balancing act. There is a lot of people grow up this way. They grow up with overbearing parents who make all their decisions for them. And, sometimes that ends in a big blow up and people don't talk to each other for years.
Right.
Sometimes it almost always, the only way it ever ends, sometimes it doesn't end. You have people who are in their 40s and 50s with their own children who are raising their kids the way they're told to by their parents.
Yes.
And that is the end result of not breaking away.
Yeah.
Of not taking the time to break away. Mm-hmm. Unless she wants her parents raising her kids for her the same way she was raised, she is eventually going to have to break away from her parents and start making her own decisions. But the exact how and when and, that's all, we don't have enough information, or I would go so far as to say we are not the right people to be advising on that, because it needs to be someone who is closer to her like
Right.
a therapist who understands her personal situation.
Who's gone through and listened to what all of her issues are. You know, I mean, she might get along very well with her parents. She might be very frustrated with her parents. And all of that is, you know, makes a big difference. But for his personal satisfaction and to maintain a decent relationship with her, being supportive is good, but allowing her to see that maybe seeing a therapist, I think, will do her years and years and years of good, to have somebody outside there kind of guiding her that's not going to cause an interference with a personal relationship that she's having.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and then I guess that pretty much wraps it up in summary. And she has to. It sounds like she is struggling and she wants to, you know, kind of start standing on her own, but she's not quite sure how.
But when you have very strong parents that have a set goal for you, it might not be your goal, you know? So I've known people who said, I want my kids to be happy, whatever it is. I want them to do what they want to do. Then you have the ones who say, I paid for this and I paid for that and I want them to have this and I want them to, you know, they don't understand. Well, it sounds to me like she's looking to be more independent, but not sure how to do it without hurting them. And she probably loves her parents, but, you know, wants to have some independence. And I think that's where a therapist can guide her.
Yeah, and I mean, for the motivating factor, you know, I mean, it really is a fair statement to say that people who do not start to stand on their own and break away from their parents in situations like this just spend their entire lives being run around by their parents.
And it's interesting you say that because I went and saw a movie today called August. It's with Meryl Streep and Julia Roberts. And let me tell you, go see the movie. If you thought that you had a screwed up family, this one makes your family look like golden, because it was just totally messed up. I mean, it was just like...
I don't think it makes my family look good.
Believe me, this one was just like, I was like, wow. So, you know, but it just goes to speak for volumes about family, and we're all different. And, you know, there is no perfect Leave It to Beaver family out there. I don't care what anybody says. There is no perfect Leave It to Beaver. Everybody's got their own little things hidden in their own little closet, and that's fine. But when you want to be happy, you should do what you want to do to make yourself happy, because you're never going to please everybody. And you might love your parents, and you might love your husband, and you might love your wife, whatever, but you have to make yourself happy. And because if you're not happy, you're not going to be able to make anybody else happy either.
Yep.
Yep.
Got to be happy yourself.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you got anything else to say on that one?
I think I covered it pretty good.
Okay, I think you did too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next subject.
Oh, you're just all business today.
No, wait till we get done with this.
All right, so next we have a question from Casey, which came in on the website. She writes, I've listened to quite a few of the podcasts, and while you guys always touch on my issue, I don't think you featured it on an episode yet. The problem is I'm submissive and also painfully shy and easily embarrassed when it comes to talking about sexual likes and dislikes. I feel no shame about sex, masturbation, etc., but discussing it is hard for me. My husband, on the other hand, is pretty dominant and loves dirty talk before, during, and after sex. Naturally, I'm terrible at talking dirty. I never know what to say or where to start. Sometimes I manage a bit, other times I'll clam up and get so embarrassed that sex stops being fun. I notice you and Shara talk dirty often, and it seems to come naturally. Do you guys have any tips for pushing past that embarrassment, or simple things to say to ease into it? Being submissive, I want to give him what pleases him, and this area is a struggle for me. Any advice would help.
Well, as you well know, it was always difficult for me. The interesting thing, I think, that helped me break away was when I started to realize that I was submissive and I was looking out there for different relationships. A lot of them ended up being long distance dominant and submissive discussions, and I mean, you know, meeting different people in different groups and from advice from other people. I ended up having a lot of phone sex, and I really enjoyed it, but it was...
You know.
Seriously, though, because people who...
Shara's first uncontrolled blush of the episode. Oh, wait, that wasn't a B for blush. That was a C for cherry red. Here's the B for blush.
I had a very difficult time because I am shy. And I know that people probably find that hard to believe, being out here on the podcast and everything, but I am. I'm extremely shy, and talking dirty was not something that was easy for me, but you really helped me too because
I'm a filthy motherfucker.
You are. And I know
everything about me is dirty except the fact that I shower. I have good personal hygiene, but all the rest is dirty.
But I mean, you let me know that whatever I say was okay. And I think part of it is knowing what your partner likes to hear. What kind of dirty talk do they like? Because some of them liked hearing stories to help them to masturbate. Other ones just liked to think about, sucking your cock and hearing the words about, I want to suck your cock and things like that. So it just, one, depends on who you're with. So she's married. So maybe understanding what he enjoys can help her to get through some of that. If I were tomorrow, we were to be with another couple and that guy wanted me to talk dirty, I'm not sure that I would be able to do it without knowing him a little bit better and without knowing what he is interested in. Phone sex, a lot easier. So she might want to try some phone sex with her husband. You know, maybe he's going to be coming home from work, and so before he comes home from work, he sits and he calls her on the phone, and you have a little phone sex.
Well, and phone sex also can be intimidating, and she does say that, her husband is fairly dominant, so, she should talk to him about the fact that this is something she's struggling with and wants to be better about, so one of the best things you can always do with your playmates is communicate what your goals are. And when you are trying to work on something, just the step of having an honest conversation about, the fact that you're trying to branch out and trying to be more comfortable talking dirty, will put your partner in a better position to help you and to support you.
The other thing, phone sex was easy for me because I was not facing that person. So, even though it's
you're
your
usually
spouse.
Not facing me when you're talking dirty.
Okay. So.
Oh, she's squirming in her chair on that one.
But I'm comfortable with you. But for her, when I was having phone sex with people I did not really know, I've never met them face to face, that was easy because I didn't see them and I'd have the lights down low. So that's another thing. Bright lights and that, can be difficult. If you're in a setting with maybe candles and it's a dark room, might be a little bit easier for her. So the setting might make a difference for her. I'd love to hear back from her after she hears what we have to say. I would love to hear back from her if some of these are some good ideas. And I certainly would love to hear from other listeners if they have some input as to, what works for them.
Yeah, as far as easing into it, one thing that may be kind of low impact and easier to do is just vocalizing when you're enjoying something. Mm-hmm. Either to simple things like, oh, right there, or that's the spot. Tell him when you're enjoying something, vocalize that you're enjoying it, and that can be a transition. Mm-hmm. That's the step between not being able to talk about it and asking for it.
True.
Is being able to say that you enjoy it.
True. I've done that with you many times. No, I mean, I've told you this was really good for me.
Oh, yeah. And on the topic of getting help from your dominant, one of the things that really helped Shara get better at talking dirty is me forcing her to talk dirty.
Yes.
Who's my little anal whore?
I am.
What are you?
You're anal whore. Okay, come on.
No. Oh, come on. See, everybody can hear you blushing. Say it again.
I'm your anal whore master.
You're my little anal whore.
I'm sorry. I'm your little anal whore master.
You guys should fucking see her right now. It is so precious. So that should not be, the benefits of doing that should not be underestimated. So if your dominant forces you to start talking dirty and telling him how much you love his cock and, thanking him for whatever he's doing to you, all very submissive things. So you may be able to use the, I hesitate to say humiliation. That's humiliation for some people, and it's just good active sex for other people, mm-hmm. really depending on their mindset. But
it depends if you're into humiliation as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
But yeah, so for some people it's humiliation, but for others it's just good, healthy sex. Mm-hmm. It really just depends on how you look at it. But yeah, thank him for what he's doing to you. Tell him that's the spot, etc., etc. And those are little things that'll help you branch into it. And being forced to beg for things is a great way. Oh, you should see how she's looking at me right now.
So do
Being
get back
forced
with
to
us.
beg for things is a great way to encourage dirty talk.
So do get back with us. Let us know after you've heard this podcast. Let us know what you think and if it was helpful. And again, listeners out there, if you have some advice for her, please share it.
Okay, and next up, we have a female listener from Facebook who writes, my husband found your podcast over a year ago. He listened to one episode, told me about it, and I listened to them all. I loved it, and I loved telling him what I'd learned. Before this, our sex life had been extremely vanilla and boring. We had mostly stopped having sex because I was bored and felt I could not do it anymore. Before getting married, I was very much into sex and couldn't get enough. For a couple of months, my husband and I started having a DS relationship, and literally for the first time since we got married, sex with him was fun. Then it slowly stopped. He stopped taking the dominant role, and I tried to continue my role, but with great difficulty. Again, we are back to our old sex life. He complains that we don't have enough sex, and I don't want to have sex with him because it's not great. I have told him that I really enjoyed having sex with him when we had a DS relationship. His words were, "You're in trouble." He fell asleep, and nothing came of it. I am writing because I'm at a loss. I don't know how to get him back on board with the DS relationship without taking the reins and therefore making me the dom. This is not what I want. Any advice on how to deal with this would be greatly appreciated. P.S. We have young kids and he works late 6 days a week. Our time together is limited because of this.
Well, the first thing that I see is he said, you are in trouble, and then he fell asleep. You need to go back and say, we had this conversation. You said that I told you what I wanted. You said, I'm in trouble, and then you went to sleep. I want to finish this conversation. So first what I would do is have you go out for a nice dinner, but personally, sometimes that's too much of an interruption. I would recommend seeing if somebody could take the kids, hopefully the grandparents, friends, neighbors, and just tell them that you want to have a nice evening with your husband. Have a nice setting at home, a nice dinner, and talk to him about it. Say, this has really been bothering me, and be honest with him and say, it's really been bothering me since you said it, and I want to talk about it. He might be uncomfortable with the DS part of it, but maybe there's something specific that he was uncomfortable with. Maybe it went too fast. It didn't sound like it went on very long, so I don't think that that's the case. Or maybe it was too much too fast. Since he listened to one of the podcasts, what made him listen to it? I'd wonder that. What made him listen to it? What brought him to it? And did he listen to any more? I'm wondering, he shared it with her.
Right.
So there's a reason that he shared it with her. What was that? So if you could get to some of that information.
Yeah, get it. I mean, going back to a conversation about the podcast and what both of you liked about it is a good place to get back to some common ground, because that's kind of where the DS started for you. So getting back to a little bit of common ground on that may be a good place to start the discussion. I have actually quite a lot to say about this from the dominance perspective. And this is all just wild speculation because we don't know him, but it's things that could possibly be going on and things to think about. So he works 6 days a week. Mm-hmm. He obviously works a lot. It is one of the challenges with a DS relationship is that as a dominant, your relationship can feel as much like work as work does. Mm-hmm. And that's if you're doing it right.
Right.
So for a dominant, it can be very stressful. Mm-hmm. Now, there are ways to keep it from being that stressful, but if it's something you guys were just experiencing or just starting to experience, he could have gotten bogged down in the fact that, it may have started feeling like work to him to maintain the dominant side of the relationship, and he may have gotten frustrated and then backed off of it, whether he realizes that he did it for that reason or not. So there are, and a lot of submissives end up in the same position that she is in, which is, they want to drive a DS relationship, but they're not sure how to do it without becoming dominants. There is, I forget which episode number it was, and Shara's going to make a lot out of the fact that I don't remember what episode number it is, but we did an episode once where I think it was in the 30s or early 40s, that was about assertive submission. I remember that was in the title, and it was a submissive with a similar problem. She wanted to know how she could initiate play without being dominant. So some of the same suggestions apply. It'd probably be worth your time to go back and scroll through the titles and figure out which episode that was. But some of the same things apply, but you also have to have your dom on board. So an honest conversation is definitely going to be required. You're not going to get past it without some kind of an honest conversation. You know, it could be that he tried the DS part of it for a while and he may just not have ended up liking it for whatever reason. It's entirely possible that he might have a little bit of switch in him and he wasn't getting everything he wanted out of it because maybe he likes to get a spanking once in a while. You know, it's the possibilities are endless. So you're going to have to do a little bit of talking with him about it. Now, as far as trying to initiate play, there are some things that you can do that are still very submissive. You know, you can, dressed in something sexy or nothing at all, bring him something that you would like to get spanked with and admit being a bad girl.
Mm-hmm.
So there are admitting to, quote, being a bad girl and needing to be punished, if that's part of your role play, is a good way to initiate and still stay submissive.
Mm-hmm.
That's bringing, just if you have restraints that you wear, bringing your restraints or bringing your collar to him may be a submissive way to assert yourself and try to initiate play. But he has to be on board for that, because if you start doing stuff like that and he's not responsive, then it's going to end up being even the disappointment is just going to snowball.
Right. And the other thing is the fact that they have 3 kids and he works 6 days and he works late quite a bit. I'm assuming probably their freest night would be Saturday into Sunday. And maybe you make it a date night. Some people do date week, and maybe you just do date night at least once a month. That hopefully you have the kids have grandparents that, you know, you could switch off with them staying, or friends or whatever, and return the favor by saying, we'll take your kids and whatever, you know what I'm saying? So there's lots of options in terms of that part of it. But certainly I think that it's worth investigating into at least the first time, to have that conversation with them, have a nice dinner, whether you just order in Chinese or even a pizza or whatever, get them all relaxed and have the conversation with him about, you know, we talked about it, and then you said, well, you're in trouble, and then you fell asleep, and I need more information. I need answers, and because it is important to me. So if I'm in trouble here, I need to find out what we can do.
Yeah, and as a submissive, it can be a real head fuck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you don't try to get some answers.
Yeah. So we'd be interested in hearing what happens, and like I said, give us some feedback, and certainly if other people have advice, like we always say, share it, because the more advice out there gives people different ideas. But don't give up. You've got 3 kids, and sometimes it's just a matter of figuring things out, what works for you. And if you were having some fun with this, he was also having some fun with it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have even started it with you. So
yeah, so getting to the root of his disinterest is really the key, because again, feel free to let it, if you get to the root of his disinterest and you want some more specific advice, we'd be more than happy to give it to you.
Absolutely.
Because that is obviously where all this hinges. And there is a very assertive throwing the gauntlet down approach, which may or may not be appropriate for her, but that would be simply, if you want pussy, you gotta come take it. I'm not giving you any.
True.
Oh, look, I could see your pussy getting wet there.
Well, but the thing about that is, yes, you're right, I did. However, the thing about that is the fact that if he really doesn't want anything to do with that, and he's working 6 days and working late nights.
Well, that's why I said it was the throwing the gauntlet down option. But I mean, at least have that option in the back of your head is something that could work for some people in this situation.
Yeah, I just think that it's out there. The answer's there, and to not give up. And he started it with you, and he had you listen to our podcast. Again, get to the root of that. You had me listen to the podcast. I listened to all the episodes. Have you listened to more? Find out if maybe he's listened to more and didn't share it. So get to the bottom of it all and see what it is. But
and you
make
could
sure
just
you're
be
alone.
look, you got me all hooked on this kinky shit. What the fuck?
Yeah,
Seriously.
that's easy enough. Yes, you got me started listening to this, and of course, maybe he wanted you to listen to a religion episode. I don't know. So get to the bottom of it and have some conversation with him. But no matter what, don't give up. You have 3 kids. If you can make it work and where you're both happy, that's obviously the best.
All right, so that wraps up the listener questions for this episode. We actually got through that fairly quickly, and I believe that we have been, fairly well aware of ourselves and not all slap happy and shit like last time.
I think you're correct.
So before we wrap it up, we will be in Vegas this coming weekend,
Can't wait.
January 16th to the 20th, but the 20th is a travel day coming back, so we'll be staying at the MGM Grand. We do have a little get-together plan for a few people who listen to the show and are otherwise related to the show that are from Vegas or meeting us in Vegas. So if you are in the Vegas area or you will be there this weekend and you have any interest in getting together for a casual drink or something, feel free to email us or tweet to us or really whatever. We'll still be paying attention to Facebook and such. We are going to see what kind of trouble we can get into at the AVN show. It may be large amounts of trouble. It may be very minor amounts of trouble, as this is our first time at this show. But we go with optimism.
Always.
And a willingness to get into trouble. We are also going to have our eyes open for the opportunity to do any porn star interviews, because I'm sure there will be plenty of them there. So if you have any questions you would like us to ask a porn star, please feel free to tweet them to us or email us or private message us on Facebook, whatever. And is there anything else you want to say about the Vegas trip?
No, I'm just excited. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
We need a vacation, number one, and just the chance to meet some of the people out there that have listened to our podcast, and just to meet those people. I'm excited.
Yeah, this will also be our longest trip to Vegas to
Yes,
date, so
yeah, so I'm
that'll
excited.
be good times.
But it's not going to be our last one, that's for sure.
No, we're actually going to take in a show this time.
I know.
Instead of just, gambling, eating, and sleeping.
It's pretty nice that your brother's going to join us out there, too. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's going to be
Looking
good
forward
times.
to it, yeah. So it'll be a lot of fun. Him and his girlfriend.
I don't know if my brother and I have ever been proper carousing together, so Vegas is an interesting place for that to happen.
Could be very, very troublesome.
Because he's kind of like clean cut me. I mean, there are certain parts, in certain ways, my brother and I are very, very similar.
Yes, he looks very preppy. You're the long-haired, but believe me, underneath both of that, you're both a lot alike. Let me tell you.
We're both dirtbags.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. So it'll be fun hanging with him and his girlfriend. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so also, we are wrapping it up on the first few people for the study on Operation Freegasm. For a brief summary, because this may be the first time some listeners are hearing about it, I have developed a method for training female submissives to increase the quality, frequency, and duration of orgasms. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that because you say amen is just kind of humorous.
Yeah, but you're saying it to me, it's okay.
I know.
But yeah, so we are looking for some people to participate in a small study to see if we can get other dominants to get similar results with their submissives. So what we are looking for are dominant couples who are in Southeast Michigan or wouldn't mind traveling to Southeast Michigan once or twice for some meetings, a willingness to go through what is fundamentally a fairly simple training regimen that most competent dominants could certainly pull off. And I believe that most dominants could get the same results.
And while it's serious, it's also fun.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
there's a lot of rewards out there, believe me. So
yeah, that is an
Speaking
important
as the
aspect. Is I say training program, but what it really kind of revolves around is a whole lot of orgasms for the female submissive. So.
And I just want to know if there's more of me out there. Help.
Oh, there's no more like you, babe.
Be interesting to find out.
But there could be some that could be trained the same way I trained you.
I'd look forward to that.
But yes, so and to answer a few questions that have been asked, this is not something where it's like a group study where everyone needs to get together at the same time. I'm going to try and schedule the initial meeting, which will be only with the dominants, so that we can try to have a few of us together at once, only to make things more convenient and allow for a little bit of discussion. But this is something that will entirely be done, like by you and your and your submissive at your home. It's not, there's no group aspect to this. It's something you do at home and then we discuss afterwards. But yes, I am looking forward to it. And there are, to answer a question that I've gotten from a few people, and I haven't responded to all of them on the internet yet, we are certainly interested at some point, hopefully in the near future, in releasing this to people who are not able to travel to our area. We are going to hold off on that for this first round because one of the things we are trying to do is develop the support materials to help people to do this without being in face-to-face contact with us.
Right.
So that is definitely on the horizon. It's just not something that is practical right now.
Right. Well, I think, too, the first time sharing with dominance and how you do it, it's important for some of that face-to-face time, to make sure that it really develops correctly for their submissive.
Yep. Yeah. And the whole idea is to figure out what works, what doesn't, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So, let's see. Is there anything else we need to talk about before we wrap this one up?
I don't think so, but maybe we can get another one in before, or we'll get another podcast taped while we're there in Vegas.
Oh, yeah. I mean, depending, we're just going to kind of play Vegas by ear. We're taking a laptop. I've got a portable digital audio recorder. So, I mean, we may very well put up a couple of episodes from Vegas.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, it's just going to depend on, what all is going on. Or at the very least, we'll have a couple episodes when we come back. And we will be going, we are intending to go into the Adult Novelty Expo. Mm-hmm. So all of this year's latest and greatest, this is the big release show for this year's new dildos and bullwhips and other kinds of sex toys. So there could be something very interesting in there. We'll just have to see what the manufacturers have got for everyone this year.
And maybe we could get some of them to talk about it a little bit and share it with our listeners. And so I don't know, it could be a fun little...
Oh, we very well might. And our sponsors, Adam and Eve, I am pretty sure are going to have a significant presence at the show. So
nice.
Maybe we can figure out a way to get into some trouble with them.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yes, I think so.
Mm-hmm. So that's about it on my end.
Okay, so thanks once again for joining us, everybody. This has been episode 59, and just about as much fun as the first couple episodes were. But yes, please feel free to join the conversation by either emailing Shara and I at jvshara@gmail.com or jvaltheros@gmail.com. Feel free to stop by sexualdarkage.com and post and comment, join the conversation there, or come see us on Facebook or Twitter.
And I did set up my JV Shara account now so that it shows up on my phone so that it'll be like I'm notified right away if somebody's sending me an email. So, because remember, I was having difficulty getting to that all the time because I was so busy with the other emails.
Yes.
But now it comes up on my phone, so it'll be a lot better.
It's amazing how dependent we are on our phones.
Isn't it, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, once again, this is JV and Shara reminding you that sex is one of the greatest things in life, and there is always room for better.
Always.